I've still got Bimideko Kwara with me, and of course, joining us to talk more about the CAF Champions League is Pius Ahamba. Great to have you with us, Pius. And of course, for Rivers United and Remo Stars, huge one for these two giants of Nigerian football.
Yeah, of course, good to be back again. And shout out to my colleague Bimideko, who is also on screen with us. And of course, like you already mentioned, congratulations to Rivers United and Remo Stars. Of course, they are going to be facing tougher battles in the next round of the competition, and it gets more difficult for these two teams, especially for Remo Stars, who are going to be facing Sundowns, and for Rivers United, they are also going to be facing Black Bulls. Hopefully, they're also able to navigate their way through. My fear for Rivers United is the fact that they've not been scoring a lot of goals, which is also a big concern. If you're not scoring goals in this particular tournament, I mean, I don't see how you're going to progress through. They played 6 games already this season. Counting the league games and of course the continental games, in total 6 games, and they only managed to score 4 goals in 6 games. The good thing about Rivers United is that they don't concede a lot of goals, which is a plus for them. But the fact that they don't score enough goals is also a worry. The more they advance through, the tougher it becomes for them. And of course, we know that goals is actually the name of the game when it comes to African football. For Remo Stars, they are actually going to face a tougher test in Sundowns. I don't know how they're going to navigate their way through this particular team, because, of course, we know we can't start talking about Mamelodi Sundowns. We already know their pedigree on the continent of Africa. For Remo Stars, this is just, of course, their back-to-back third season on the continent. The first 2 seasons, they couldn't even get into the group stage, but they didn't even pass the first round. But right now, they've managed to pass the whole of the first round, 9 and second round. They are facing a very big test in front of them. I'm happy that the manager has started talking about this particular fixture. The boys are also talking about this particular fixture. But of course, we know that talk is not talk would actually do nothing if they don't, prepare very, very well. I really wish them all the very, very best. That's all I can give them at this point in time. But them navigating their way through Sundowns, it's a very, very big test for Remo Stars in particular.
For Remo Stars, I mean, it's a tough one for Remo Stars playing against Mamelodi Sundowns. But don't you think that Mamelodi Sundowns should be under more pressure because they don't know about Remo Stars? They've not played them before. They don't know what their pedigree is. They only know that they are NPFL champions. And for Remo Stars, they have. I don't think the pressure should be on Remo Stars. What's your take on this one?
Yeah, definitely, I agree with you. The pressure isn't on Remo Stars to deliver. The pressure is on, Mamelodi Sundowns to show that, yeah, they've been champions over the years. They've been consistent on the continent. They are the big boys. They are on the continent. They are the ones with the big names, with the big players, and so on and so forth. But I will not take it that Remo Stars are unknown. If you ask me, or relatively unknown. Yeah, they may be relatively unknown name-wise. But if it is about getting their clips, watching how they play, I think Sundowns would have gotten enough clips to watch to understand their pattern of play and to know how they can counter it, which for me is my fear. But at the end of the day, I think I trust Remo Stars to go all out there and fight, which is what I would just ask them to do if I were to be the coach. Just go out there, fight, give it your best, give it your all, and pray that the sun shines on your path on that particular day. But based on paper quality are definitely Mamelodi Sundowns all the way. But Moroccan entire Jesus. There are times when even the quality teams lose, and the not so good teams to find their way through, whether by omission or commission. That might happen. And I think at this point in time, I think Remo Stars are about two solid quality players away on the continent to be a force to be reckoned with. I think the side at this point in time that I saw in the first leg of the game against US Module, for me, they were a very compact side, and they repeated the same in the second leg. So for me, I would say, yeah, Mamelodi Sundowns might go through, but I do not see them defeating Remo Stars in Nigeria at this point. So definitely, Remo Stars, they have a very, very, very slight chance, and definitely Mamelodi Sundowns are, we all know, the favourites in this time.
Favourites in this one, and it will be a tough one for Remo Stars, definitely. But Pius, Rivers United, the coach, of course, for George Trinity, he said he's not bothered, he's not under any form of pressure at all. And I wonder, against Black Bulls, who would you count as an underdog in this game?
Well, in this particular encounter for Black Bulls, of course, we know that the champions in their own league. I would say the underdog has to be Black Bulls. To be honest, looking at the pedigree of Rivers United in this competition, it's just the same as that of Sundowns and Remo Stars. I think Remo Stars will definitely be the underdogs, and of course, they will be under more pressure going into this particular game. I think the same can be said of Black Bulls and, of course, Rivers United. It's just a case of David and I don't know if I would say David and Goliath at this point in time, because I don't see Remo Stars as David. I honestly think they are not there yet. They are going to compete against a Sundowns team who have actually been on the continent for a very long time. The last time they won it was in 2016, and ever since then, they've been getting in 2020, 2021, they got to the quarterfinals. 2023, last year they got to the semi-final. So they've been really consistent at the highest level, talking about African football. And you're going to compare that team to a team like Remo Stars, who couldn't beat Mediama and the club from Morocco in the last 2 years, Mediama of Ghana. So I don't see the balance. It's not matching up, right? The imbalance is so deep. And in terms of experience, in terms of the quality of players, the imbalance is also very, very deep. If you look close into the Remo Stars side, you would notice the fact that, I mean, the guys they just defeated in the last round is Djoliba. These are the whipping boys of the. I mean, teams go beat them as much as 7-0, 8-0 in the past. We've seen it was just last year when they faced Rivers United. They were just Enugu Rangers. They managed to pull their muscle. Teams usually beat this team as much as 7-6, 8-0 on the continent of Africa. And I wouldn't use that particular game to judge them. I think they still have a lot to do in terms of preparation for Sundowns. I don't think they have the quality of players to match Sundowns. I don't think even Sundowns still should be able to defeat these Remo Stars with due respect to Remo Stars, of course. But it is just the reality. The way they have actually replaced players they've lost, talking about Remo Stars, is questionable. Again, we can't say they will match up with some of the big guys on the continent. But at this point in time, it is just a case of 80-20, 80 to Sundowns. The same for Rivers United. I think it is not balanced, if I would say that. If they can score goals, talking about Rivers, like I mentioned earlier, I think they should be able to navigate their way past Black Bulls. But yes, I think Rivers United should edge this one in terms of quality.
All right, in terms of quality, and I hope that these two teams, most especially Remo Stars, will prove you wrong and, of course, prove Gumidepo wrong as well. Because Gumidepo said he doesn't think Mamelodi Sundowns can beat Remo Stars in Nigeria. But I just hope that they can actually prove us wrong and beat Mamelodi Sundowns and get something outside Nigeria and hopefully get to qualify and move into the group stage of the Champions League proper. Now, you talk about winning some and losing some. For Nigeria, it was a mixed feeling for Nigerian football fans because in the CAF Confederation Cup, it was Kwara United and Abia Warriors who crashed out in that one. This happened over the weekend. Kwara United needing to overturn a 4-3 first leg loss, fell 1-0 at home to Ghana's Asante Kotoko in Abeokuta to lose 5-3 on aggregate. Hubert Gyau's 54th minute strike sealed the win for Ghana's Ghanaian progress despite late pressure from the Harmony boys. In Bamako, debutants Abia Warriors also bowed out after a 1-0 defeat to Mali's Djoliba, who advanced 2-1 on aggregate following the first leg draw in Uyo. The defeat means that Nigeria will have no representatives in the competition's next round, with Kotoko now set to face Moroccan champions Wydad Casablanca. Pius, sad loss again for Abia Warriors. You're playing at home. You played out a goalless draw in the first leg. What will it take to go all out to ensure that you get this crucial goal to defeat your opponents? But of course, they fell. I mean, it was for Kwara United. I mean, they got 3 goals away from home against Asante Kotoko, but they could not score a single goal in front of home fans.
For Kwara United, honestly, I would say that their crash out has to be their own. If they had converted the chances they've got in the first half of that game to be in particular, they probably would have even, sealed out edge out Asante Kotoko would actually face. Yeah, they managed to score 3 goals in the first leg, and I was wondering how did they even score those 3 goals in the first place, because the way they were missing chances in the second leg yesterday was actually questionable. And the fact that the coach actually came out after the first game to tell us that they were actually going to knock out Asante Kotoko. He made all of the, said all of the good things, and we were really expecting them to come all out and, of course, score goals. But unfortunately, they had to get cashed out the way they got knocked out. It is my worry has to even be more on Abia Warriors, talking about Imama's team, because I had a higher expectation for Imama's team than that of Kwara United, because Imama is a well-known coach. Of course, we already know who Imama is. But I think my worry for Imama is the fact that what he has in his head as a manager is he has not really been able to interpret it to his players. We know. I mean, when you talk to Imama, when you interview him as a manager, he says all of the nice things. He talks to you as a coach. Tactically, he's very, very sound when he expresses himself tactically. But I mean, when he's trying to interpret that into the field of play, it's another case of fish entirely. I wouldn't say. I mean, looking at the squad they took to that particular game against Djoliba, I thought it was a team that should have actually gone past the first round of this competition. Honestly, that was my own opinion. I didn't have expectation for Kwara United because I saw how they managed to get the ticket. I saw the team they played against. I saw how they got to the finals of the FA Cup in Nigeria. And I'm like, okay, yeah, let's just go and test and see how it goes. But for Abia Warriors, with the manager and the kind of players they added to the squad, I thought they should have done better in the first round. I'm more disappointed in Abia Warriors than Kwara United, because I thought that Abia Warriors had a better chance of going forward. Asante Kotoko would always knock out Kwara United. That was my own prediction before the competition started, and I was not surprised. But for Abia Warriors, I think I'm more disappointed.
Right, so I'm more disappointed for Abia Warriors, right, is they're losing to their opponent, Djoliba, 1-0, ensuring that they crashed out of qualifying for the next round of the game. Bamako, do you share the same emotion with Pius? Abia Warriors more disappointed to watch yesterday?
No, I wouldn't share the same emotions. Definitely, for me, I was more disappointed in Kwara United because how do you go outside the country, another man's land, to score 3 goals, and you can't convert just to 1 on your own soil? And it wasn't as if there were no clear goal scoring chances. For me personally, I counted 5 in the first half where Kwara United could have at least been about 3-0 up, or at least 4-0 up in the game, or at worst just score 1 or score 2. And you build on from there. But for me, the strikers were lethargic, and it was terrible to see, all around. And these guys from Ghana took advantage, in the second half of an error. From the error, they converted, and boom, that was the end of the game. And it was annoying to see because at the post-match conference, the Ghanaian coach, the coach of Asante, Asante Kotoko was talking about the fact that, he disciplined, Sani, for me, which was not actually what we saw in the field of play. It was disappointing for me, and I thought the boys, Kwara United, could have done better. They forced them to play, play against their usual tactics that in the second half. But I thought they could have ended the game in the first half. And even in the second half, when they had a one-on-one option, I do not know what was in the mind or what was going on in the mind of the striker when he had to, turn himself to Ronaldinho and, couldn't convert to the chance at that point in time. So for me, I think it was just the death of strikers on the continent for Nigeria at this point in time. That has been the bane of our movement further when it comes to playing on the tournament. I think our problem has been scoring goals, and it was obvious in the game Kwara United at home against Asante Kotoko for me. So for me, I was much more disappointed in Kwara United. I expected more. I think Nigerians expected more because you do not go out to score 3 goals and come back home and you're not even able to score 1, losing at home on home. So for me, it was disappointing. I was very disappointed. So I think for me, that for me was it. Abia Warriors, sorry to say, I never expected them to win away. If you can't win on your own soil, then I don't think you deserve to go anywhere in the first place. So yeah, that's it for me.
All right, deep ones right there. If you cannot win on home soil, then it's been expected to win away from home. To take a miracle to win away from home. But let's listen to reactions from that game between Kwara United and, of course, Asante Kotoko.
Can you see the number of chances we created and missed chances? Can you see it? I'm really disappointed. Because how can we that we scored 3 goals over there, how can we be seeing chances here? We couldn't even convert 1. It was a sorry situation. You see, at times it is like this. But today, at least, I don't know whether they are being carried away or the tension in them. They want to win at all costs. They were looking for that first goal at all costs. But look at the goal we considered. It was so painful.
Football industry, we get something called occupational hazard. That happened to us in Ghana. So definitely, we didn't repeat it here. We visit the video between Kwara United and we saw the space and time we gave to them. So we work on that. We know they are, majority of them are senior players. They are not young like my players. So when we close the space and then we deny them the space, we deny them the time, they can play us. So we only have to do that. And then the second half, we come in and then set for the goal. So we did that during the 45 minutes. And then we came back again, scored the goal, and then we went back to our normal tactical play.
Right, for the coach expressing himself right there, and for the Asante Kotoko coach as well, talking about the way he was able to assess that game and make sure that his team qualified for the next round. Pius, before I let you go, you could hear from the coach of Kwara United where he was saying that he was disappointed that you can see the number of chances that his side missed. I mean, should he be telling us this? Shouldn't he be acknowledging the fact that his side failed to follow the tactics that he gave his team to follow up with?
Well, I think this has to like Kinuku mentioned, and of course, the first half of that game, Kwara United have scored a couple of goals, but they couldn't convert their chances, and that's what we say when we talk about the interpretation of tactics in Nigerian Premier Football. Sometimes you need to get the right players. Sometimes you also need to get your tactics very, very right. They scored a couple of goals in the first leg, 3 goals. Unfortunately, they were unable to score. A goal and the coach also mentioned the fact that he alluded to the fact that they're not playing in front of their fans in Ilorin is also another factor. But again, all these things are things that should have been said before the competition even started, not after but because these are now excuses, like you already mentioned, to the players, to himself as a manager, and of course to the state government. Everybody has a share. One or two share of blame to actually. It's not to go around, if I would use that particular word. And so all of this is just. I was really hopeful because I already seen the quality of team, and I've seen the quality of players, and I don't think if they had even gone past Asante, I probably don't think they would have gone past the second round. So it's just best they go back up and of course see if they can come back again via the same route they came through last year. It's quite unfortunate that we are where we are, because I remember we had this conversation when we had our 4 teams. We had this conversation at the end of last season, and I was telling you that I'm not really hopeful of the sporting going to the continent, because we're just going to come back and still have the same conversation, ship out 4 teams again at the end of the season, and then come back again to have this same conversation. We don't actually get our teams right. We don't actually get our position right. We don't have the quality of teams or players to compete against other guys on the continent. It's as simple as ABC. Regardless of the number of teams, the quality of teams we bring, even if we give out Ayimba, the best they can do is get to the group stage and then come back again and we'll have the same discussion. It is just as we are. The quality of teams, quality of managers, we don't even have a venue of our own. The 4 teams playing on the continent right now, you have to start borrowing venues to play their games. Even Remo Stars who have a private home club are not playing in front of their fans. So if we start the conversation from there, I think that's the basis of the conversation. When you go and play against teams who are playing in front of their fans, even if it is a 10,000, 20,000 capacity, it is filled with the home fans, the guys who are in the community. It's a motivation. But you take a team from Kwara State in Ilorin to go and play in Abeokuta, and then you expect them to win. I think that's even the basis. If you cannot get things like venue, started rights, I don't think we even have any business playing on the continent, to be fair. So it's just the way it is.
Wow, quite sad right there for our home teams not being able to play in front of their home fans. It becomes a disaster are waiting for these club sides. Well, I'll say thank you very much, Pius Ahamba, for your views, and we just hope that for Remo Stars and Rivers United, they can go further and, of course, prove us well. Thank you very much for your time.